UK councils assess weed killer use after U.S Court Case. Rulings against Roundup owner Monsanto, aka Bayer, prompt authorities to seek a non-chemical alternative. So, after the case being lost, after the U.S. federal jury in Santa Rosa, California, ruled that the manufacturer of Roundup, Monsanto, who are now owned by Bayer, were liable for non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which was suffered by a gentleman by the name of Edwin Hardiman. And he's testified that he's sprayed this herbicide for nearly 3 decades before he was diagnosed with cancer. Now, council, based upon this ruling, this is going to be sending ripple effects across the world in essence. There's been a lot of independent studies and research highlighting links with cancer and this Roundup and also glyphosate. Now, councils across the UK, from the Wirral to Norwich and everywhere in between, are looking to phase out the use of chemical weed killers in playgrounds, parks, pavements. As I said, after the best-selling brand Roundup had to pay an $80 million payout in damages, which works out to be 61 million UK pounds, after this claimant developed cancer. Now, Hampshire County Council specifically are saying that they're re-examining the use of glyphosate herbicides. Now, it's very important that people do some rudimentary research into glyphosates and where they can be found. London Borough of Richmond has begun trials of non-chemical weed removal next week. Trafford Borough Council last month voted to phase out all pesticides and weed killer on council land and scrap glyphosate treatments within a year. So what's with the big hoopla about this Roundup, which, again, to reiterate, many people have been highlighting the fact that this Roundup chemical is causing a lot of issues. This has been on the quote-unquote fringe media, and a lot of people have labelled the people bringing this sort of information out to be conspiratorial. The action comes after federal jury in Santa Rosa, California, a jury, mind you, so that's 12 people, I would imagine, sided with the claimants, and their parent company, Monsanto, have to pay out these monies now. Now, it was the second major blow to the Bayer Corporation, because Dwayne Johnson, a 46-year-old former groundkeeper who has terminal cancer, was awarded $79 million, which I guess is going to be very similar to the last payout or the most recent payout, because the it's the same thing. They found and ruled that the company was responsible for neglect, failure, and knew it should have known that the product was dangerous. So this is kind of similar to the most things that have been released, like asbestos, for instance, was promoted and heavily used throughout the 40s upwards, until people started to realize actually this isn't a very good substance, and the fibers from it, once disturbed, etc., after a period of time, can cause lung cancer and all sorts of stuff. So we've got the tobacco industry, which started to promote the fact that smoking was actually healthy for you. And then, as we all know, that that was totally incorrect, especially because they're putting 101 plus chemicals into said or onto said tobacco. So we're now realizing and coming around that there's a lot of stuff that's being put out to the public and sold, and unfortunately, after lots of tests are being done, we're finding out that these are causing harm, potentially cancer and even fatal deaths for some people. Now, the company themselves are denying, obviously, they're denying all of this. Why would they admit this? Um, in essence, they're saying that it's non-carcinogenic, and they're appealing the two verdicts. The share prices of Bayer have dramatically decreased after this ruling. So it's troubling times at the head of the board, and all of the people who are shareholders in such corporate organization. But what it's doing is highlighting the fact about this glyphosate. Many people have spoken, and there's many documentaries on YouTube going into specifics about glyphosate and how in some places you've actually have glyphosate in your tap water. So, this is something that's it's a very serious issue. A spokesman for Hampshire County Council told The Guardian, in light of the ruling, we are looking at the implications of using a glyphosate-based products as weed killers. Given the widespread use nationally, we will also await and expect further guidance from central government. Now that just says it all. There's been 2 cases in America where they have found links to people getting cancer, but yet we've got people in the positions of power who can make decisions to say, let's go for an organic herbicide versus a chemical-based one, which is clearly causing problems within the human anatomy. And they just want to we'll do some more tests and let's see what we can find out. It's not good at all, and I suggest everybody, if you're that way inclined, to go to your local councillor and get this issue raised in more detail. Current government advice describes glyphosate as an important chemical used for agriculture and transportation and was approved for use in the UK until 2022. However, this evidence is under review. So, we do need to make some noise about this. Japanese knotweed, if you're a gardener, people will know a lot about that. It's a very evasive, non-native species, and this glyphosate is used specifically on that and a whole lot of different weeds. So please do stand for something, and let's try and get this conversation going, and let's stop the council from utilizing this glyphosate substance in public places, i.e. where children are as well. Support for glyphosate is being led by the Amenity Forum, a forum which members include Monsanto and its parent company Bayer, which both help to fund the organization, have written advice articles for each newsletter. Of course they're going to be involved in some kind of forum or group to promote the fact that glyphosate should be used. Interesting. At least one of the councils, West Lothian in Scotland, decided to continue the use of glyphosate on the forum advice. Well, based upon the forum's advice, basically, yeah. So we need more independent studies and more transparency. Let's have more conversation about this. Let's have this out in the public domain. on national television so people can understand the dangers of this substance, because you can go to B&Q or any other place and gardening place and pick up said item containing this harmful chemical. Like, comment, subscribe, and most definitely share.